Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're welcoming back Konstantinos Manos, CEO of Vesuvius Media and HIVE Interactive, an easy, efficient, and comprehensive experience for Kickstarter creators. Konstantinos, welcome to the binge. How you doing, my friend?
Doing really good. It's happy to be here again, James.
Oh, it is great having you back, my friend. Gosh, there's so much to cover. You and I have been doing some work recently together, so I'm going to be excited to talk about that. Before I get into any of that, though, as a reminder for people, we last had you on the podcast talking about some of your games, because you're also a publisher, which is, as I just said, Vesuvius Media. Can you give some people just kind of a background, kind of what you're all about?
Yeah, so we're a group of people that we always wanted to create games. Now, notice that I don't say what type of games. We just want to create games.
Yeah.
And because we just happen to be, most of us, tech freaks, like I have a PhD in computer science. My friends also were a little bit technological freaks back in the days. The easiest way to start with was online games. So we first started creating, back in the day, Centauri's Universe Online, which was then rebranded to Centauri Saga because DC Universe Online happened, and you can't compete with DC on names, even though we were first.
Yeah.
So we created a browser-based game, and that's how we started going into the industry. Then the mobile game boom came, and we realized that we need tens of millions of dollars to compete in that in that industry. But we have already created a couple of online games, and we had created stories, assets, and then we said, what do? We just throw them away. And then we realized, oh, we love playing board games. How about we port them to board games? And that's where we first started.
We
did the first Kickstarter campaign in 2016 with Centauri Saga becoming a board game after being an online and mobile game. And that was our first experience with the industry.
I didn't know that. I assumed you were just in the. I don't think I even covered that in the last podcast episode with you.
No.
That you started off as
you
like
have enough time to go through
with mobile apps. That's cool. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and check that one out. Now you're in Canada, so you're Canadian now, but you're originally from Greece.
In Greece, yes, we started in Greece, but then my wife is from Canada, so we were visiting. We already had the first son in Greece, and we were visiting family here for summer, and we happened to meet with some people from the government here, and they showed us how many cool things they have for gaming companies. Anybody investing in the gaming industry, whether it is online, whether it's mostly online back then, but they were more flexible.
Yeah.
We were blown away with the opportunity here and said, okay, let's roll the dice. What do we have to lose? The kid then, back then, was 3.5.
Yeah.
Said, okay, worst case scenario, we have 2 years. If we fail, we come back. So we packed, we came here it took us a month to sell everything, pack everything, and go.
And then whereabouts you're East Coast, right, Canada? Whereabouts?
East Coast, Halifax. We're an hour from New York time. So we have a good weather here because there are some currents in the ocean, so it is closer to what I'm used to. It's not like Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, the winters are a little tough, right?
A little. But we're cool here. So, and that's how we started. We started with online gaming, and then we switched to board gaming by understanding the value you have. And now that's a good tip for all creators out there. You need to see your games as a story, as a theme, as an experience. You've built graphics, you've built actual stories, you've built adventures in your play. So they are not only a board game. You can do other things with that, and that's why Vesuvius Media and not Vesuvius Games, because we have done graphic novels for some of our games. We are now in the process of creating an animated TV series with some people. So if you see the game as a story, as a theme, as more than just pieces moving on a tabletop, then you can find more value than you think.
And I gotta ask the TV. What's the TV series? Can you talk about it?
It's about the Catapult Feud game. If you actually Google, you're gonna find some articles. The
Yeah.
animation studio picked us up from the United States, and they're gonna do a web sorts TV not TV, animated series
Yeah.
things. Yes, based on our game.
That is
So,
crazy. How did that come
yeah.
about? Did they just call you or like?
As soon as we realized that we have stories, we actually attended Kid Screen and we went and met with people because we already had a graphic novel for two of our games.
Yeah.
And we said, how about that? And we started pitching around the idea. How about we create something like that? We have this. How about? And then you find like-minded people that like what you're doing.
And how did
You
the graphic novel come about? Was that just a natural kind of evolution
We
of?
love graphic novels. I have a huge collection of them as well. And again, as soon as you see stories on your board game, then opportunities appear. We
Yeah.
actually have a novel right now, 300 pages novel based on our dwarf series.
And
We
then
just
with
finished the page.
with the graphic novel, is your market predominantly people who've already like who have invested in the game, or is it a different market
When
altogether?
you put the words market there, things become and graphic novel and market. That's not, pretty much non-existent right now, right?
Okay.
It's a very highly controlled, very specific to break even in there. But you can create a graphic novel. You can use it for marketing reasons. You can print it and have it at a convention or as an add-on to your game, accompanying your game. It's still added value, but
Hmm.
now you making money from graphic novels? I don't know. I haven't done that.
Yeah. Well, at least to
Like,
have it as part of the so
yes.
you
So
you
for
target
us, that's the target. The idea is that when you put a board game and then you put a mobile game, then you put a graphic novel, then you put an actual novel, you say, look, this is not just a game. I already have invested in art and stories. Let me show you how cool the world that I'm bringing you in is.
mm,
That has always been the concept behind. As soon as we started viewing the games, we didn't do it from the beginning, but as soon as we went down that path, now we're refocusing and putting more effort and time to build the worlds in other mediums and give you more information about what you're playing.
that's cool.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then the Hive Interactive. So this is, and by interactive, it's a pledge manager essentially, right? I mean, I know it goes beyond the
No,
pledge
it is
manager.
not a
There's,
pledge manager.
but the core of it is a pledge manager. I'm gonna say because that,
The people the part that most people understand as
right?
functionality is pledge manager. The thing is that again, people don't know that, but Hive has existed since 2019,
Okay.
but it was close to a very small group of creators. It was for us and some people that we call them the family. There are many creators that we know each other, and we met at conventions, and it was only for us. The very first reason of creating Hive was because every other pledge manager out there sucked back in the days. We could go there. They had bare minimum tools. It felt like just let's collect shipping. You don't need just collecting shipping. As a creator, as soon as you sit down and you see the process that you have to go through, you pretty fast realize that you have needs so many more items.
Yeah.
You need pre-campaign, you need during campaign, you need statistics, you need information, you need to become better. You want to go to the next campaign, then go preview your previous one, see math, see models, see when you make mistakes, what happened. Create and store information so that you can support your people. The campaign doesn't stop. It is a 2.5 year commitment at the very least. You don't need a pledge manager that will open for a month and be done, just like you did a campaign in Kickstarter for another month.
Yeah.
You tools to support you for the entire process. So we started implementing them for us back then. In the process, we more people because we're focusing on the board game. We didn't actually realize that here the industry uh, needs help, and they don't have good tools out there. We were working only for us, and we kept on going. But then BackerKit and GameFound started becoming crowdfunding platforms. and becoming competitors and becoming raising their prices. And then we started seeing the pain in the industry. And we said, okay, we cannot do that anymore. We have to go public. But we have to go public. The more people were coming, more people were asking. So we went public. That happened a year and a half ago. And from then on, we just keep on growing on a daily basis because we have tools created by creators for creators. And that's our main advantage here. We have a different cultural approach. We don't view you as a project, we view you as a company.
Yeah.
Most of us behind the scenes, we have experience either in building ERPs, CRMs, BIs. These are stuff from the nothing to do with board game industry, but we know how to create systems that help retail companies and more. Okay. And we started utilizing this experience and building the tools that we needed so that we can run a publishing house with only two people. Disconnect, home, and I can manage everything. I wanted some place to put my invoices. I wanted some place to put my items. I wanted to have my SKUs and the information so that I wanted to put my certificates, see my localization contracts. Now, you see like how when you see a company and not a project, there are so many more needs a company has. And then these needs are connected with the projects that they do over the years. So you need to be able to transfer this information, and that's where the power of Hive comes from.
The one thing I think is really important to note is that being a publisher and creating this tool for yourself and then giving it to other people to use, I think that means something, right? Because it's not like you're just trying to, and I mean, some would argue that I think GameFound probably started the same way with Waking Realms and some of these other guys, but hang on.
Yeah.
But what I really appreciate about your system is that you are constantly kind of at the levers saying, okay, how can I make this better for myself as well as other people that are using it? And it's constantly evolving, right? Like you and I have been going back and forth on some of the things. I've started using it on my most recent campaign, Cities of Venus Survivors. And, I had sent you a couple of things, and then you'd made tweaks on your end. You're like, oh, I've changed that's now we're going to do this. So it's very interactive, and having this kind of top to top, for lack of a better word, customer service or interaction is not what you're getting with any of the other pledge managers, right? And that's what really attracted me to Hive. And I've used them all, right? I've used all of them, and
Us too.
and they're all good in their different ways, right? But the one thing I found is you're right, the rising cost, right, of each of these pledge managers. And I think that you're going to see an anti-trend on that with Kickstarter now launching their own pledge manager. You're going to see some of these guys starting to drop the upfront campaign fee that they charge, which is like a percentage of everything you've raised before they even start, right? And that was the part for me that said, okay, this last campaign we wanted to fund a little bit more than it did. It didn't fund kind of exactly where we wanted. Now we got to trim some pennies here, and we can't afford to just be dropping another couple $1,000s on an upfront campaign fee before we even start the pledge management, right?
Truth be told, every penny counts.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake I have seen so far in the past 2 years that I have talked with hundreds of creators is that they, especially creators that are doing better, and they do like if I can save $10,000 for a creator that has done a $40,000 or $50,000 campaign, for the creator that did $1 million, I will save $100K.
Yeah.
And they don't realize it because they have never had to deal with it. And unless you min-max it, you don't realize that you just throw $100,000 down the drain because you have to hire 2 more people to do customer support because you are gonna pay extra fees that you shouldn't. 1% or 2% difference is huge than the bigger one.
Yeah.
Because they promised you they're gonna give you ad spend or they're gonna give you some things that have nothing to do with your tools. Like we have to reach a point to understand, and that's why I say like we're not the same as Awakened Realms behind GameFound, because Awakened Realm doesn't run Awakened Realms using GameFound only, whereas Vesuvius Media runs Vesuvius Media only on Hive. When I say only on Hive, I don't also have a CRM that I buy from the X software house, an ERP that does the accounting. No, the accountant has access in Hive. the CRM people, the retailers, everything is done through Hive. So that's the difference in the approach. I view as companies which have needs, and instead of you starting now spending $5,000-$10,000 in different products left and right, buying software to make your life better, I can create those tools within the same system, have it connect and talk and transfer easily information from one to the other. Like when I'm answering customer support tickets, I don't want to have Zendesk in one screen, Kickstarter in another, and Pledge Manager in the third.
Yeah.
And then when somebody asks here, then he used a different email in Kickstarter, different email in Pledge Manager, open a ticket with a different email. We're done. Like now I have to spend 10, 15 minutes going through emails to figure out this. And now if I need to ask a payment from them because they missed the Pledge Manager, now they have to pay $10 shipping 3 months later, after fulfillment has finished, and then they go pay with a PayPal email. That is the fourth email, different one.
Yeah.
And then I have to match all these things. Do you know how many hours you have lost? When you have a 5,000 backer campaign, or if you have done 800 backers campaign, when you run the sixth, those backers before, they're going to remember, oh, I never received one. Things start happening.
Yeah.
So there is so many hours and so much money that you waste without even realizing that you're wasting them, and just by not being efficient.
So let me throw a couple more things in here in terms of the efficiency. So, and this is just from my perspective of using Hive. So what I really found unique about your system versus, and we're going to get into some of the other things too. I got lots I'm going to cover, but I want to get this out there because this is very important, is that you're entering everything at a company level. And why that is important is then when you do, if you're a publisher like myself, where you're doing subsequent campaigns with literally all the other pledge managers right now, you're having to re-enter all that information each and every single time you do your pledge manager, right? Whereas with Hive, you enter all that company information once, you can put all your shipping rates and everything in, and then that you can save and carry over to your next campaign. You're not having to go through and reduplicate your efforts every single time you're doing it. It becomes very, very efficient going forward. So that's one thing I wanted to kind of highlight because no one else is doing.
It is the main cultural difference we have.
Yeah.
Where we are per company, not per project.
Yeah.
Huge difference in point of view. And that's when now you can, as soon as you see this, you as a creator, not only you, but the other creators too, as soon as they say, oh, I can ask things for my company, not for my project.
Yeah.
And immediately they come back with recommendations, with comments like, I would like this. Can we do that? Can we do? And then we build an ecosystem of company valued things. You're going to see, we're going to be launching next week the freight consolidation platform, where we simply connect different creators. We already been doing this manually, but now it's going to be done through Hive, where you can say, I have 10 CBMs, I have 5 CBMs, James has another 10 CBMs. We book one container all together, leave from China to US, we save $1,000 in shipping costs.
So let me just unpack that so people listening actually understand what you just said. So because Vesuvius Media is constantly sending containers to the different countries, like, you know, to the UK, to the States on a fairly regular basis, say, you know, 10 a year, right?
We do right now, every 30 to 45 days, we definitely have a container leaving.
Got it. Okay.
Sometimes we have more, like, you know, it's seasonal. Like February, when China closes, nothing lives in February.
Got it. Let me jump in for the listeners. All right. So because he has containers are going to these, say, let's take the States, for example, once a month. Me as a publisher, if I'm doing a small run, I have to go in and schedule my own shipping to the US, right? And so if I'm using a fulfillment partner there, typically they're going to want to use their customs clearance house, which costs a lot of money to use their brokers. Like there's a lot of funds if you're not doing it yourself. And to take it one step further, what Konstantinos is saying is through Hive, you can actually buddy up, right? So if he's sending a container and you have only one skid to ship, your one skid goes down that container. There's only one customs form that's being filled out for that container instead of one customs form per company, which then increases the broker fees and increases those custom charges. And it becomes more efficient and it's much more, you're basically splitting the cost across a number of companies. So then each person is spending quite a bit less than if you're doing it yourself.
Exactly.
Right. So that I just want to unpack that.
And that's why also now you understand why Hive. You are not alone. This is the most important thing that people need to understand, and every creator that comes into our platform understands immediately is
Yeah.
that we are not some impersonal. They don't know me. They can book a meeting with us at any time. We can sit down and discuss any problem they have, anything. It can be fulfillment. It can be pledge manager. It can be campaign setup. It can be how do I go to a convention. We're now launching a new set of tools that we know people do because we are using them to get money from conventions directly to your PayPal with special forms that act as a POS while you're at a convention selling your games. We are
Ooh,
an
that's
active
interesting.
publisher that does everything that you are doing. We help people to go. We have a containers living in June, July that are going to be going to Essence Spiel and bring them to your booth. We do the same thing for GenCon. We work with local hubs. We are here. So if you have any question, we are here to just talk.
Do they
Knock on
piggyback
the
on?
door.
So on that, let me just unpack. So for the Essen, for example, so to ship into Essen, you need to have a VAT,
Yes.
right? Do they piggyback on your
You need
VAT?
to be VAT registered. You can either do it on your own or you can work with us and we're going to help you with that.
Interesting. Oh boy, that's interesting.
Now,
Okay.
there's a difference between importing and delivering to your booth and what do you do when you are there.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are many areas, many gray areas. You can declare different things in a different way. You will have to pay import VAT,
Of
but
course.
still the process of bringing things to your booth, it is something that every conversion is different and you want to avoid using the expo people who
Yeah.
charge fees that don't make any sense. Like GenCon, you use Fern, you're done. Like it's gonna be $1,000 per pallet to be delivered from the parking lot to your booth.
Yeah, it's insane. Even to pick up your
Now,
garbage at those
yeah, yeah.
things, like to empty your.
It's
There's.
there are many crazy things happening. So we have navigated all this. You can just knock, ask. We have a very powerful newsletter. We have vetted many marketing agencies out there. There are so many people that are gonna come and say, "Give me $1,000." There are people that are using our name, Vesuvius Media. We helped them. They didn't,
Yeah.
just to scam you. So you know how many scammers. But again, we are 200 creators. This is Hive. Everybody has done something.
Yeah.
They have paid something. We know if it works. Somebody else will can verify that it works. Fulfillment hubs. Today, Hub A is the best in US. Tomorrow, Hub B is the best in US. We actively pay them to deliver our games. We will not recommend you to go to somebody because we have a certain affiliation.
Yeah.
We don't. We go to wherever we are using and actively paying them. Who do we use in EU? Who do we use in UK? What's the best solution today? Up until 3 months ago, the best would have been to freight everything to US and then bring by truck to Canada. With the tariffs, you don't want to be paying tariffs for the Canadian.
Yeah.
We switched. We added boats that go from China directly to Canada. So again, we evolve and adapt based on the industry. Do not do things alone.
So
Just
let me jump in
knock on
on.
the door and talk.
I know you're
So
full of energy. I love it. Let me jump in here. So the other thing I wanted to bring up because this was something that really piqued my interest. So the Essen thing is amazing. So I just want to kind of make note of that because I'll probably use that service going forward myself. So that's amazing for conventions. Second thing I wanted to bring up, or I guess this is a third thing now, is the ability to use Hive if you want to put your Kickstarter campaign in US dollars. Can you talk to that?
yes, we do have Canadians, because we're Canada. So our first campaign was in Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
We finished the campaign with 68,000 Canadian dollars. We were loving it. It was a big success. Canadian to USD conversion rate 1.07 on Friday that we finished the campaign. On Monday, 1.33. And stayed there, it's still 1.33.
Yeah.
So we lost 20% of our money overnight without us doing anything wrong. All our your shipping contracts, the manufacturing contracts was in USD, but we had Canadian dollars. So we lost
Yeah.
20K, pop, overnight for doing nothing. Also, what you forget, many people dismiss, is the fact that when you have a different currency, whenever you convert it, you lose 5%. You will never get the conversion rate that Google says. You go to PayPal, you go to your bank, unless you're converting millions, where you probably can barter something else, you usually get 5%. No, they don't have a fee. Yes, they do have a fee. When the conversion rate is not what you see on Google,
Yeah.
the difference is their fee. They just don't tell you that. They tell you the rate is that. It includes their fee. So thousands of dollars loss. We tell to most people that you need to run the campaign in the currency that it's your biggest costs, so that you can avoid currency conversion fees.
Which is US
Right
dollars.
now, since 55% of your backers are gonna be in US, if you are doing manufacturing, you're gonna be doing in China, it's gonna be USD. Freight is gonna be in USD. Probably Australia, Canada will charge you USD for their fulfillment fees.
Yep.
In addition, apart from Europe, that's gonna do in euros, and UK that's gonna do British pound. Asia is gonna be in USD. VFI it's gonna charge you in USD. So you're gonna have to have 70% of your money at least in USD, maybe more depending on how well your campaign did.
So how do people do this with Hive? Like, how do people get into US dollars with Hive?
You can use us behind the scenes. So Kickstarter, the account is your account, but when you say which company, when you put your company information, you
The
put
banking
Hive.
information, yeah.
So we receive that money into our banking system. It appears in your pledge manager. So because everything is connected, you will see them as payout in pledge manager. You can ask us to move it to your bank account or leave it there to pay things that are in the United States, saving wire transfer fees. We charge 2% for that on whatever money the Kickstarter will actually deposit in our bank account. So it's not 2% on your campaign total, because you're going to lose at least 10% of that.
Yeah.
Kickstarter fees, Stripe fees,
People
drop
dropping.
bucket, stuff like that. Yes. So it is 2% of whatever we receive in Hive, and then the money are there, and you can, if you talk with us, we will be able to help you save hundreds of thousands of dollars in wire fees every year, easily, from the creators that are using this.
So let me paraphrase this for the listeners. Okay. So I recently just finished our Kickstarter campaign for Cities of Venus, right? And because I'm in Canada, and even if you have I have a virtual US bank and so forth, Kickstarter needs a physical bank address to enter into this backend system, and then that dictates
incorporated in US,
right.
Not just the physical bank address. The actual company needs to be US company.
Got it. So you enter the information in, and then Kickstarter will automatically trigger what the currency is. So for me, it was Canadian dollars. So what Konstantinos is saying here is, like, I ran into this on a prior campaign where I've lost, I think it was like $16,000 in exchange rates, because when Kickstarter pays you, they're going to pay you in local currency. But then you have to go or by the time you're paying your deposits and so forth on your manufacturing, that could be 3, 4, 5 months later. Yeah. And your exchange rate is going to fluctuate over that time, and it can be highly volatile, especially in today's current global markets. It is highly volatile, right? So for just a pure exchange rate standpoint, it's a way for you to insulate yourself against fluctuations in exchange rate. The second thing I want to mention is that when people go to my campaign page, and I try to set the pricing so it'd be like $100 US was kind of our mid-tier pledge, which is a round number. But when you're putting it in Canadian dollars and someone goes on the US side, they're getting what that daily exchange rate is. So one day it might look like it's $103 is your pledge amount. The next day it could be 101. Next day it could be 98. That fluctuates, right? So for the backers coming in, it's very confusing for them to see this kind of rate fluctuating up and down. And when they first look at it, if they're in the States, they're going to see it in potentially Canadian dollars. It may assume that the pledge cost is way higher than it actually is.
They will see a dollar sign at 130, and they're going to lose their mind also.
Right.
Which is, yeah.
And I literally had this when the Dice Tower was doing their weekly roundup, and they look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, $145. That seems like a lot. And then Tom Vassell had to jump in and say, no, that's Canadian dollars. That's going to be in around 100 US. So it does matter, right? So that 2% cost for me, I'm more than going to make up on increased pledge amounts, I believe, just quite frankly,
you immediately save 3%.
And then also the exchanging back and forth, right? Putting in Canadian dollars, but then putting it back into US dollars to then pay my bills, right? Because you gotta exchange it twice every time you want to pay your bills. So Konstantinos 100% right on this one. Literally all my costs that I pay as a publisher, 95% of them are all in US dollars, right? Yep. So I'm losing twice bringing in Canadian dollars and then putting it back in US dollars to pay my bills. So very, very important service. The other thing I wanted to bring up was on the Pledge Manager, one thing impressed me was PayPal and Hive, right, as an option for people to pay. Can you talk a little bit about that? Not PayPal,
So
I'm sorry.
generally
PayPal and
speaking,
Stripe, I mean. PayPal and Stripe.
yes, generally speaking, we say PayPal, but people confuse. Like when you say PayPal, people think that they have to have an account with PayPal. But PayPal is a payment processor, just like Stripe. You can have a link account,
Right.
and you can do one-click checkout with Stripe. But at least Stripe named one Stripe and one link, so people don't have the same thing in their mind. PayPal, everything is PayPal. So when we use PayPal as a payment processor, because first of all, it allows people with a PayPal account to have access to whatever magical things they already have into their account.
Yeah.
Because PayPal locally, especially in EU, they can even do bank wire transfers, checks, ideal, and I don't know, so many crazy stuff. We have Venmo, we have Apple, we have Google. PayPal has a 4 payment installment fee through Klarna that for the US people it's zero interest rate and you get all the money on your own. And we also support Stripe. So we do have both worlds. If your campaign is in USD, everything is available. If your campaign is not in USD, it is only PayPal. Because Stripe, we are a US company, and Stripe again has the same thing that Kickstarter has, and only give you USD transaction. And we want to avoid currency conversion fees, and we want to be able to support all currencies. So we use PayPal. We do have a better deal with PayPal for their fee. Because again, HIVE, it's different thing that you going alone with PayPal, and it's different HIVE going to PayPal, and we give you all this extra underneath without you having to do anything with that.
No, it's amazing.
And that works also for landing pages and customer support. When you go through our fees, you will see that we collect a fee. Our fee is 3% or 4%, 3% if they come through you, and they get the pro package. That applies only to the money we collect in our platform during the late pledging and the pledge manager process. Everything else that has to do with money, because in HIVE we understand that you as a company need to, for example, pre-campaign, you get $1 promises and you create a special VIP rewards. After the campaign, through your customer support, somebody might want to pay shipping because they forgot to pay shipping a year ago. Now they remember they want their pledge and you want to get $10.
Yeah.
You can ask money. All this money go directly to your PayPal account. We do not get a fee from that. So when we say free, the other tools that has to do with CRM, with invoicing, with customer support, we do mean it. We don't we could be charging a monthly fee, but we are good. We implemented them. We give them to you. We're good to work with that.
Oh, that's awesome. My friend, there's so much to unpack, and I'm definitely going to get you back on another episode because we didn't even get to tabletop analytics, which we'll get into on the next episode. But for those who want to check this out, I am going to put a link in the show notes. I'm going to put a promo code in there as well, which gives you it gives you the pro rate at 3%. Simply put in that promo code. It'll give you the 3% with a pro account. Check out this this HIVE Interactive is amazing, and the fact that I'm having interactions with the actual creator of it just gives you an idea of how important customer service is to HIVE. So.
Reach out.
Until next time, my friend, I want to wish you all the best this coming year, and we'll get you back on again, eh? All right, you take care.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Ciao. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.